Cowabunga, everyone. Welcome to something we don't really do very often, but we felt oh so compelled. This is Dual Screens in Review, and we are doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem Review and Spoilercast. With me is the other half of Dual Screens. I'm Steve, and that's my radical dude, Andy. Andy, how you doing, bud?
You know what's funny? There have been several like high profile movies based on video games. We have not touched any of them. Sonic, Mario Brothers.
Well, I think
No need to review any of those.
there's a reason though, Andy. See, you and I, because of some connections that you may have, were able to
Yes.
get into a press screening of this film. So we are going to be recording this before the mass populace is able to see it. So
Hmm.
this is a true review, like for the purposes of letting people know if this is a good film or not. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do two things here. We're going to do our review, our thoughts, but completely spoiler free, and then we're going to get into spoilers. When we do get into spoilers, we will let you know. There will be a timestamp. We will make all sorts of hubbub about it so that you can pause it, or you can just say bookmark it, come back to it later after you've seen the film. Or if you don't care about spoilers and you want everything spoiled for you, whatever, that's fine too. You could just watch the rest of this video on youtube.com/dualscreens.tv. All right, Andy, let's get right into it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. This is created by, or put together by, Seth Rogen and his team of merry men. And women, of course. This film might be some of the most fun casting decisions I have seen in a very long time, and also probably the most oops, I just accidentally covered you. I apologize. Sorry, people. I was trying to get I wanted to get the cast list up, and I just completely threw everything on top of you, so I do apologize. Um, just an excellent casting and a ton of fun, and also the same but different, if that makes sense. Like,
Hmm.
it was Ninja Turtles. It felt like Ninja Turtles. It looked like Ninja Turtles. It sounded like Ninja Turtles. It was Ninja Turtles, but also they did stuff so differently than what we're used to in a Ninja Turtles story that it was totally a breath of fresh air for me.
I really liked how this movie wasn't entirely 100% geared towards our demographic in mind. Because it's a kids movie through and through. Because they're actual literal teens in this movie. They're like 15 years old, the turtles.
Yeah.
And that comes throughout each and every single one, that they're all going through their teenage issues. Some are angsty, some are like don't want to find true love. It's a whole thing with them. But even so, I enjoyed this movie, given that it wasn't really made for with me in mind per se.
Yeah, I think that the fact that it wasn't made for our generation actually benefits the movie
Yeah.
like tenfold, because there are a ton of references to current pop culture, things
Hmm.
that people who are parents right now that maybe grew up with Ninja Turtles, we related to Splinter in a way that, and we related to Splinter, but also like being an adult in this universe, uh, way more than I thought I would, because of those references and because of how the turtles were acting, based on current day sort of uh, society and like technology and like all that stuff. But all in all, this is a story about, in my opinion, not only about fitting in, which is kind of the obvious, but this is like a father letting his children kind of go and explore, and it's about
Hmm.
being overprotective, and
Right.
where's that line between love and sort, like, where do you draw the line when you love and want to protect somebody? At what point do you say, I trust you to go out and kind of be yourselves, and I trust that you know what's best for you at this point, kind of thing, which was kind of surprising to me, because Splinter is not Splinter in this movie. Splinter is Dad. They don't call him Master Splinter.
Yeah.
They call him Dad. He's Dad through and through. And I thought that that was really an excellent choice.
It's like the most like anti-Splinter characterization I've seen this character ever. I've never seen this side of him before. He's so paternal and so protective of the four turtles. And yes, he has his, his sensei bits in the film, but it's predominantly just him being a father figure, and just he knows how cruel the world can be, and he wants to shield his boys for as long as possible, forever, if he could.
Yeah.
From the horrors of the world.
And Jackie Chan's portrayal is so sweet and endearing that, like, it's Jackie Chan. Like, he's done VO. I mean, he had his own cartoon for years, which was, again, awesome show. Like, it had tons of heart, the Jackie Chan Adventures. But, like, this was a showing from him that I really wasn't expecting. I was expecting him to basically tell, for lack of a better term, dick and fart jokes. Kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like, just like be a goofy jokester,
Well, there is one through line joke he makes for the entire film,
yes,
which has
there
a
is
payoff.
It has a huge payoff at the end, which is great. But like, it's he's very sweet, very endearing, and they kind of not gloss over, but they don't allow this they don't allow what came before in the IP to weight down how they're going to explore the origins of the turtles in this universe. And I think that that was like brilliant on their part.
Yeah. I don't want to weigh on Splinter too much, but I do want to mention how it must be so wild for you to be sitting in the theater with your own two children, and you're relating more now with Splinter as an adult.
That's what I was saying.
As compared to relating to the turtles when you were a kid.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly what was so weird. Like, I was looking at, like, so this is a minor spoiler for a joke in the movie, which I think they actually played in one of the trailers, but we'll just say it this way. There's a scene where the turtles talk about BTS, which is that K-pop boy band. And they start singing a song that like both my kids sing all the time. And I'm looking over and they're laughing and they're like, oh my God, this is so funny. And I'm just like, wow, this is my life now. Like, this is what I'm going to deal with when my kids are 8 and 6. And like,
right.
This is what I'm going to deal with in a few years. They're going to be sassy little teenagers that grew up with like BTS and memes. Like, they mention memes all the time in the film, which is really funny. It's so bizarre to see that it wasn't for me, but at the same time, it really is still very much for me because you're seeing it through a completely different lens. And let's just talk about this cast real quick.
Go through it.
I'm going to give the big names first, and then we'll talk about the new voices here. Obviously, we spoke about Jackie Chan. You got Giancarlo Esposito playing Baxter Stockman, which, okay. Superfly, which is probably one of the funniest characters in the whole movie, is played by Ice Cube, who, for the first time in his career, he doesn't sound like he's reading off a script. Like, the first time ever.
He's literally acting in this movie.
Yeah, he is hilarious in this film. Post Malone is in this movie. He playing Ray Fillet, which is hysterical because the whole Ray Fillet joke, like, through the film is like, I would never think that Post Malone was doing that voice just based on like what that through line was. Hannibal Buress is playing Genghis Frog. Maya Rudolph has a character. Paul Rudd, who's Mondo Gecko, which is just phenomenal. Bebop and Rocksteady are Seth Rogen and John Cena. Like, okay. Like, this casting is bonkers. And then there's the Turtles, who are actual, like, for the most part, teenagers. And April O'Neil, who's a teenager. Now, every one of these names I'm going to screw up. No, okay. So we got Shimon Brown Jr.'s Michelangelo, who was phenomenal. Just so goofy and hilarious. Micah Abbey as Donatello, which was my favorite of the four turtles voice acting wise. Like, Donatello is just perfect. We were sitting there in the theater and my son was like, who's which turtle, like of the four of us, me, my two kids, and my wife. And they're like, I'm Raphael, I'm Raphael, because Daddy's the one that yells at everyone. So I'm obviously Raphael. I'm red, and I have rage issues, I guess. And then
Yes.
and then my daughter is Michelangelo because she's the goofball. My son is like, he's like, I want to be Michelangelo. I was like, no, buddy, you are Donatello. Wait till you watch this movie, because Donatello is super smart, just like you. And after the movie, he's like, I'm totally purple. Like, I'm totally Donatello.
To secure your future and your tuition, we need you to be
Yes,
Donatello.
you absolutely need to be Donatello. Speaking of Raphael, we got Brady Noon was Raphael. Raphael, like they didn't hone in on the turtle stereotypes, on like the Myers-Briggs personality stuff.
They didn't get there yet. It's like they're still developing who they are as individuals at this point in their lives.
But they still have their little idiosyncrasies that
the quirks are there.
Yeah, like Raph is the bigger of all of them, and he loves
his is very on the nose in some scenes.
But he loves
very in your face.
He loves to fight, but it's not necessarily out of being pissed off and jealous or whatever. It's just about he's a big dude and he wants to show it what he can do. Like he
loves to work out. He takes protein powder and creatine. He needs to find an outlet for all of that.
Yeah, he but the thing that like all four turtles really want is to go to high school. And like I've never in any iteration of the turtles have ever actually thought of them as teenagers with teenage lives, and in this film for the first time it's like no, they want to do the teenager thing. Like they don't want to just be ninja cool like superheroes. Like they use the superhero thing as a plot line throughout the film in a very clever way, and we'll talk about that in the spoiler portion of this. But the most important thing to the turtles throughout the whole film is being able to be teenagers and experience the world as teenagers, which I think is just brilliant. Nicholas Cantu was Leonardo, did a great job as well. This was the best.
He was my favorite.
This is the best iteration of a Leonardo since the 90s movies, in my opinion. Like this was a leader that has something on his mind other than just being the goody two shoes leader. Like
he's like it's like a leader in training. In a lot of ways, he's trying to find his voice to like be like the glue, the nucleus that kind of like holds the four of them together when they're out in the world doing stuff. But he's struggling with that throughout the whole movie, like trying to like unify his brothers and like be one voice. But he gets there, but it takes a while. But again,
that's not the purpose of that's not his subplot. Like his subplot isn't getting there. His subplot has nothing to do with it. His subplot involves April O'Neil in a way that I think was absolutely perfect and brilliant.
That was I did not expect it to go that way.
Yeah, no, and we'll talk about that again in the spoiler section of everything. I thought that the weakest part of the film was probably the very predictable sort of I don't know. It has the simple superhero, rising action, climax.
Yeah, all the tropes are there. Yeah. It's very basic storytelling.
Like heroes doubt themselves, or heroes are full of hubris, get beaten up, doubt themselves, rally, come together, figure out that they're better as a whatever, and then win. Like it's just it's a simple hero story, but it's the hero's journey, right? Like that's what it is. Which was fine because how they went on their journey, the beats that they hit on their journey was so different from every Turtles iteration that we've had that I was not expecting it to go that way. Like I was pretty much on media blackout except for the last trailer, but like I didn't know where they were gonna go with a lot of this plot line, and I think it was a really cool choice. And we're going to talk about that in full in the spoiler section, which is coming up very soon. So as we're approaching about 15 minutes here on this part of the podcast of the review, why don't we really quickly give this a sort of I don't want to say a grade, but like score it, however, give your thoughts on this as overall. We'll start with you and then we'll end with me.
I want to say that if you grew up watching Turtles as a young kid in the late 80s and the 90s and consumed all things Turtles as a kid, the video games, the cartoons, the live action movies, there is something very much here for you to enjoy. If you don't have kids now, even better, bring them to the film. They will love the ass off of this movie. There's a few minor nitpick things I have with it, like because the mutant cast is so large, it's like what I think like 6 or 7 mutants in total. That very underutilized cast. Like again, you mentioned all these all-star actors, but yet they're not used. So I mean, I want to say maybe Paul Rudd as Mondo Gago got the most action.
Yeah.
And there was that one weird bug thing that had no real talking.
Yeah.
It was
but had a huge
but that made more
role.
of a that made more of an impression on me than like John Cena and Seth Rogen in their respective roles as Rocksteady and Bebop.
What is their name? Not Stinkbug.
Gumbug, I think it was called, or some shit. I don't remember. Something like that.
And I don't know that one. I don't know if that was made up for this
Me
one
either.
or if I just missed it.
Yeah.
But
I would say outside of Ray Fillet and Mondo Gecko, those are the two that have like the most as the, and then you have of course Superfly, which is he's the main bad guy. So
yeah,
that's like
Bebop and Rocksteady were very underutilized in my opinion.
Very.
Like, you could barely I could barely understand them when they were talking because they were so like animated or whatever. And I felt like they were trying to disguise the voices so much because they are iconic voices. It's John Cena and Seth Rogen.
Right.
But what I do think is we got enough of them, the way they told this story and how they were involved, that I think that it sets it up for a very clear direction for them. And again, we'll talk about that again as we dig deeper into the spoiler part.
And aside from that, and like some there was a little bit of, and we discussed this after we saw the movie, some weird like pacing issues towards the end. Like there was like a jump, a location jump that was a little bit jarring, and we were like, that seemed odd.
Yeah.
Like a scene could have fit nicely between these two transitions.
Yeah.
But aside from that, and again, the overall cast not being like utilized to the fullest, I highly recommend this movie. I loved it. Like wasn't made for me. Clearly a kid's movie. I found joy in it. I was laughing throughout most of it. But yeah, if I was to give it a letter grade, solid A.
Yeah.
That's what I would give it.
Yeah, I think that
most
of its issues for me were on a filmmaking technical side. Like it was the pacing. There were some moments that were a little odd in their pacing, in their cuts. It felt like there was something missing, like you were saying, especially in that scene, that weird scene transition. But it, like we both were discussing it afterward, that it felt like, all right, the movie is running 6 minutes too long. You guys got to cut 6 minutes, and they were like, all right, let's cut this one scene that slows things down, and it was like, oh, okay.
It's funny though. While I bitch about there being a missing scene, again, I could also praise like it's a very tight film too. It's an hour and 40 minutes long, which in this day and age of like 3-hour films, it's like a godsend.
Yeah.
We were like home like ass early that night.
Yeah, it was great.
Like, oh my god! Like I can still have dinner at this point. It's not like 2 a.m. after a Marvel joint. So I was so happy.
Yeah,
that it was a nice tight 140 minutes.
That's the other thing. This is not a huge investment of your time. You know, like it's a good movie. Take the kids out, have a great time, and kill your wallet because your kids are gonna want all the toys. All right, folks, we are going to now get into some spoilers. So, clear spoiler warning here at the We're going to start exactly at the 20-minute mark with spoilers.
Oh boy.
All right. So here we
Oh
go.
boy. Do some
Spoiler
fun,
section.
do some fun graphic or some shit.
Spoiler section. Okay, so let's start with that weird scene transition. So there's a moment in the film where they're essentially defeated, or like they lose a battle, right?
Right.
Where they had to be rescued by Splinter. And after Splinter rescues them and they realize that Splinter was right, that there is danger out there and the bad guys are going to want to milk them for their blood, which was a joke throughout the whole film, which was hysterical. But he was paranoid that they were going to get captured, hooked up to machines, and their blood taken from them, which he called milking. Right. And that's exactly what wound up happening. So he goes
literally what they called it.
Yeah, and they called it milk, and it was like the Milktron 3000 was like the machine they were put in. But so that there was that heavy part of the scene where he's like, you know, the only way you can stay alive is if you listen and do what I say. The only way to keep you safe is to listen to what I tell you to do. Like that was the last line of the scene. And then the next scene is the four turtles, April O'Neil, no, not April, the four turtles and Splinter, who split from April. April goes her own way and is like, dang, I guess we lost and I'm never going to be able to tell this story. The last thing, or the next thing, is Splinter and the four turtles infiltrating Superfly's lair with no scene in between. Like they were just like, you have to listen to me to stay alive. Okay, let's go fight the bad guy. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, how did
Wasting
that happen?
no time at all.
Yeah, it was very weird. It was very much like a scene of them convincing Splinter that they have to go and confront him was missing. Where like they
convincing him that they just fucked up royally. They were kidnapped, and but they have to go and right the wrong and do the thing. Right. That's not even there.
That is like the one huge plot thing where I was just like, wait, what the fuck just happened? It almost makes me feel like it was like a mistake in the edit. Like the version we got was like, this scene's not done yet, so don't give it to the press. Like that's what it felt like to me.
Well, listen, we also during the film it stopped like midway.
Yeah.
It was like, all right, guys, get out, go home, it's over.
Yeah, it broke at some point. Like it just reset, I guess. The
maybe we lost a scene somewhere.
It's possible. I mean, it was about 15 minutes before the scene that in question, but so just to talk about it, let's just go through the spoilers here. So this version of the Turtles they're 15 years old, and Splinter. So Baxter Stockman creates the ooze for TGRI.
He creates everything.
Right. Yes. Well, he creates that.
Creates it all.
And he creates a fly that is basically like a puppy, like it's his pet. And TCRI, is that what it's called?
Yeah, TCRI.
TCRI wants his research, and he refuses to give it to them because he doesn't want them to turn his pet, his family, because he's so ostracized from society. He creates all of these mutant animals in test tubes, and he doesn't want it to fall in their hands. And TCRI winds up infiltrating his lab, accidentally killing him, but the fly ends up, who's a little bit more advanced than the I guess you call them embryos, kind of like the whatever.
Little test tube babies.
Gathers them and runs away with them to protect them from the explosion and everything. So then we fast forward 15 years later, and that fly is now called Superfly, and he's raised this group of mutants as his family. So you got Bebop, Rocksteady, Wingnut, Mondo Gecko, the Genghis Frog, Leatherhead is there. Oh, Leatherhead was so good.
That bug thing that we and forget the name of.
Humbug, I think it was called, or something like that. And I think that was it. Yeah, I think that was it. So he has this family of his, right? And at this time, he's basically stealing from TCRI the parts to make a machine, which he wants to use to turn every animal, bug, and creature on the whole world into mutants. He wants to mutate them all, and then basically enslave humans as pets or whatever,
food or entertainment.
He's like, we'll workshop it, like
we're open to all ideas.
Yeah, we're open to all ideas, but make it quick because we're doing it tonight, like kind of thing. The turtles are so in that moment 15 years prior, one canister of the ooze winds up going down the sewers, breaking in front of a rat, Splinter, who finds 4 baby turtles that were swimming in it. He winds up taking them, and like overnight he like fucking lycanthrope, like just becomes a were rat. And the turtles, who, because they were babies, that's how he explained it, and it was hysterical in the joke where he's like, I when I got mutated, I became an adult rat because I was already an adult rat. You became babies because you're already babies. Correct. And then he actually says in the narration, he's like, "Don't question it. It's how."
Like, doesn't that make sense?
It makes sense. Let's move on.
Put it that way.
Yeah, he's like, doesn't it make sense? It makes sense, right? Let's move on. And like basically a nod to like, yeah, we get it. Like this shit's. Why are they, babies and he's not? Whatever. This is why. So he raises them in fear of humans because he was always hated by humans as being a rat. And there was a
rat in New York, nonetheless.
A rat in New York, yeah. There was a reference to Pizza Rat, which was great. But there was a moment where the turtles, when they were children, they wanted to go, like kids, like 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds. They wanted to go up, so he decided to be brave, and he brought them right in the middle of fucking Times Square. And
so weird.
They were like, giant rat, and he got chased around.
They're not even trying to hide themselves. Yeah. They're literally walking around.
Yeah, they were just like, let's see how this works. I mean, if there's anywhere, a costumed freak is gonna get through time, it's Times Square, like unnoticed. But alas, they were not unnoticed. They were beaten up, chased around, and he swore never to do it again. Which leads us to now, where the turtles are teenagers. They're 15 years old. They're running errands for Splinter above using ninja skills. Oh, that was the other thing. He decided to teach them ninja skills and himself for self-defense in case the humans ever find them. And he uses like old like Taibo like VHS tapes and like stuff like that, which is hysterical.
Like Karate for Dummies and shit like that.
Yeah, it was hysterical. But I guess their mutant brains absorb it and they become super ninjas. I don't know. I can't explain it. But so they're running errands, and every once in a while they like to sneak away and do things that normal teenagers do. Like they go and they go to a rooftop and they're watching a movie in the park that like teenagers are kind of like making out and stuff. And Leo's like, oh man, I want a girlfriend maybe one day. And that's sort of his whole plot line throughout the film, is he wants to just be boyfriend girlfriend like a normal teenager. He's clearly got
he wants, when you're watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off, it's like I want like that high school teenage life, like all the bullshit that comes with being a teen. He wants all of it.
He wants everything. And like they just want to go to school. Like Donnie's characterization in this film is that he's like an anime nerd. Like they don't really get into his scientific nerdism. They lean very heavy into the anime,
his weeb nerdism.
Yes, like
there's several Attack on Titan references in this movie.
Several Attack on Titan references. He's a big anime guy, loves his manga, like all that shit, which is like really a really cool way to introduce that into the film. Like no, this is part of our culture today. Like, where kids in the late 80s, early 90s might have been playing with a Rector set, and that was like the nerd thing to do. Now the nerd thing to do is to like cosplay and go to conventions and stuff. So like that's his characterization of nerd. It's not, because anyone could do science. Like you don't have to be a nerd to be into science and math and
do machines.
Right. but now, like, okay, his version of nerd is he's into anime, which I thought was hysterical. Um, but at one point, so Leo they do the meet cute where Leo sees April
Oh, this was like my favorite moment in the whole film.
and
Like
he
it
gets
was
all gwarshy.
the meeting of April, and then like the whole like them revealing themselves as turtles to April scene was great because it highlights how inept they are at fighting in actual combat, like
Right.
in a real live exercise.
Yeah.
When they're not trading with each other back at the sewer, they have their first taste of an actual rumble with some thugs who steal April's bike,
Yeah.
and it goes horribly wrong.
But also correct. It goes well. Like
It does.
They're like it's like drunken master fighting. Like they improvise everything, and I mean, they're super powerful. Like that's the thing.
They
like,
are.
Like they can't really be hurt like by normal humans and like normal weapons. Like they just kind of figure it out. Which is great because they're like, as soon as they do that battle and they become friends with April and she realizes, okay, this is going to be the story I'm going to write. That's going to make me, a reporter. Like that's what she wants to do for the school paper.
Right. And also, again, there's a lot of things happening, but like even April's origin in this movie I found was pretty neat. Like how they kind of fit in the whole reporter thing. But she's also a teenager going to high school and has a bit of a, embarrassing past when she puked giving the morning announcements.
We've all been there, April. We've all been there.
And and she's trying to make herself just, be known for something other than that mishap, and she's trying to win back her friends' approval.
Yeah.
And again, that's also a common like thread, is a whole like do things for yourself and not for others' approval. That's a big like moral lesson thing in this movie. But yeah, like the four turtles are like they're on the rooftop and they're like watching out in the crowd. They see April, she sees them back, she's yelling at them. Her bike gets stolen, and then they feel guilty. Plus,
but hold on, they were making like YouTube videos.
Yes,
on the roof, like doing stunts for YouTube.
They were slicing watermelons in half in slow motion.
And Mikey's got the thing on his head, and Raph goes to throw a ninja star through it, and it hits.
It hits her in the head.
The helmet, and then she's yelling at. She can't see what they are. Yelling at them, and then her scooter gets stolen, and yada yada. So it was cool because after they beat up all the thugs pretty easily. It completely inflates their ego, and so now they go and they chase Superfly, or they get information where Superfly was going to buy something from these thugs. And there's a whole montage of them like finding out the information and beating up normal humans. And then it's like, okay, we're going to go do this deal with Superfly and we're going to catch him in the act, and you're going to get him on camera, and it's going to be a great story, and we're going to look like heroes because we're going to beat him up.
Yes. This is the main thing. This is the main plot point is April wants to redeem herself in the eyes of her peers at school by getting a really juicy story. And the turtles believe that if they can be perceived as heroes by the public, then they won't hate them, like Splinter says that they will, if they were to see them. So their idea is to go catch the bad guy, document it, and it's a win-win for both parties in a sense.
Right.
And that's like the main guiding thrust that sets them all up on their big journey, the five of them together.
Unfortunately for them, there was a gaggle of other mutants with Superfly, so he's got his whole family with him, and a complete 180 from what you would expect. The turtles have this moment where they finally feel like they have a real family. Yeah, because
they're second guessing their motives now.
Yeah,
at this
they
point.
were all created by Baxter Stockman's same thing, whether it was accidental or on purpose, and Superfly gives them a compelling argument. Like, this is what I want to do. I want us to all be accepted. But of course the turtles have that moment where we can't destroy all the humans. Like, that's not cool. We want to be among them. We want to be accepted by them. We don't want to further villainize ourselves and basically flip the script. We like that's
Basically
not
prove their point.
right. We don't want to go that route. So they try and trick Superfly by letting them drive, and then they were gonna like split off with the part that they were gonna. It was the final part of the machine, and unfortunately, he was like, "All right, Bebop and Rocksteady and Wingnut, you'll ride with them." Because like they're teenagers, he's like they can't drive, like
Right.
you guys whatever. Which is weird because they're well, no, I guess they're not. I was gonna say like Bebop and Rocksteady are probably also teenagers, but I guess they're not because
No, they were in the test tube
as like they
for
were
a
a
minute.
little bigger, like they were a little bit bigger, so
Yeah.
they probably weren't babies. Maybe they were like 3, you know,
Right.
so like they would be like 18, 17, 18 or whatever.
Mhm.
So whatever. Anyway, logic out the window. It's Ninja Turtles. So the turtles are there trying to figure out like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Now they have the machine, and we're like a part of this crime now. They're like, what do we do? And they say a funny line like, you know, basically like, what are we supposed to do? They're giant rhinoceros. You want to fight the giant rhinoceros guy?
It's like
we're
they
turtles.
they barely won against human thugs in
Right,
the garage getting April's bike back, and now it's like older, stronger mutants, and they're outnumbered also.
Yeah, by a lot.
And Superfly is like hella intimidating in the whole film,
Yeah.
so it's hard to say no to that guy. But let's not forget, while this is all going on,
Oh,
you have
yes.
like the human military aspect, TCRI, following the trail of robberies to find out what's going on that would lead them to a mutant to get their blood for milking.
Right.
So that's also going on in the background.
Right. And also going on is Splinter is
Oh god, trying to get his kids' love.
Is worried that they are like leaving him, so he makes this like party for them and is like, I'll break he
gets cardboard cutouts of people like, hey, they're here.
Of the 3 Chris's, Chris Pine, Chris Pratt, and Chris Evans. Is like, it's all the Chris's.
Again, it's all like the meme culture is there. It's like, which is the better Chris?
Yeah, and it's very cute that he's like doing that,
trying so hard.
But when they don't, and so they get ambushed, and they wind up very funnily like crashing the car, and then they betray, and then it's like, oh no, what are you guys doing? Well, I thought we were family, like they, you know, whatever, and then they have to escape the mutants, and when they do, they get captured by TCRI. Then the milking thing happens, and then Splinter rescues them because he's like, what the fuck? You know, like, they're my boys, I gotta save them. I told you they were gonna milk you, and that's exactly what they did. They tried to milk you for your blood.
Was it a giant milk bottle that was
yeah.
I saw that
giant glass milk bottle.
It's a giant glass,
and the machine was the milk o-matic or something, like that's what it was called. It was very funny. Anyway, yeah, so, and then there's that weird transition where they just go, and then the thing that really surprised me, like the most surprising thing happened, where the turtles actually convince all of the mutants except for Superfly that Superfly's the bad guy. And they don't want to hurt the humans. They don't want to do that to the humans. So like it's the turtles and all the other mutants against Superfly, which was really, really cool. And I was not expecting a good guy Bebop and Rocksteady. Like
it's
was
such
not
a
expecting
weird
it.
take.
Yeah,
because now you have this whole host of mutants that have been historically bad guys.
Yeah.
Like that's their rogues gallery in a sense for the turtles, and this origin movie for basically all of them, and they're all starting off as like on the right side. They're all good guys.
Yeah.
And they've all realized that Superfly is just a bully. It's all been his anger, his vision, and they just feel this obligation because he saved them as kids to follow him and do it as they're told by him. But they're like, we don't want to kill people either. That's not what we want to do.
Yeah.
And they all kind of like, mutiny, and then it's basically all against him. And again, it's
mutanty.
Mutantiny. And it's so wild, like just seeing them being on the same side. Like, and it's so like they're fighting side by side.
Yeah.
Like Rocksteady, Bebop, Wingnut. It's like, it's so crazy to see that.
And I think
with like years of like all the content.
But that's digested. The thing. Like this movie, that specific plot point was for us. Because the kids don't have that
No, that frame of reference. Like, they don't know.
exactly.
They don't understand the subversion of
They
what's
don't
going on
understand
here.
how, like, I was like, this is between you and me. Like, I was getting a little verklempt. Like, I was like, oh shit, they're like friends. Like, this is awesome. This is a really cool. This is a cool thing
neat
to see. Like, oh, Bebop and Rocksteady could totally
and
be
like,
cool.
it really goes to show you that you can introduce new ideas.
Yeah.
Like when you reboot a franchise or start from scratch, and it could not suck if you do it right.
Yeah, and you could still do like a weird like chip in the brain, like possessing them
For
like
sure,
turn them the other way again and then make them like, we're gonna beat you up, Twiddles. Like, you could totally still do that, so the other cool thing was
let's get to the third act. I feel where things really amp up and shit gets like Godzilla.
Yeah, they defeat Superfly, but he falls into the thing and gets the blasted radiation thing, or that he was trying to turn everybody into a mutant. He instead becomes Superfly, basically, like Super Shredder. But all of the marine animals and animals from the zoo and everything that he like crashed into get fused into him. So he's got like horse feet and like
the body of a giant whale. He's like
a amalgamation of different animals, but like a kaiju.
He's got like a giraffe wrapped around his lip thing going on. It was really very jarring.
Stuff. Very strange stuff. He had like rhinos, like, I don't know, it was weird. But it was funny. Like, he was like, oh man, look at me, and he goes on a rampage to destroy Manhattan. And then,
like, this is way better than my other plan.
Yeah, this is totally better. I'll just do this out of sheer force.
I'll just destroy shit this way.
Yeah. So the Turtles and the mutants work together, and then April infiltrates the local news station and gives them proof that, because at this point the news station is broadcasting that the Turtles and all these mutants are part of Superfly's team.
Correct. They're all together.
All the humans are like chasing them also, so they're trying to avoid the humans while also trying to protect the city. And then April winds up infiltrating and going live on TV and like being like getting over her fears, and tells people how it really is, that these Turtles and the mutants are actually trying to stop Superfly, and they need their help. Like, they need the New Yorkers' help. Which was kind of cheesy. We've seen that before. Spider-Man's done it before. Like, we've seen this before, but it still worked in this aspect because of the Turtles wanting to be liked and wanting to be accepted as New Yorkers. That's where it kind of worked. So they work together and they wind up taking down Superfly in their triumphant moment, and a very sweet ending is they get to go to high school. Like, the Turtles go to high school. And I don't know why I never thought of ever putting them in that situation where they would get to be Peter Parker, basically. Like, they could just go to school now as juniors in high school. Like, or sophomores.
It was I can't describe what I felt when they removed their masks to go to school.
Yeah.
I felt something in here, dude.
Yeah,
I can't describe it to you.
It's almost like
I got the chills.
It felt like we were getting like the TMNT version of like Teen Titans. Like, when I first started watching the original Teen Titans cartoon, I had no frame of reference for Teen Titans, so all of my references for those heroes were their adult counterparts.
Right.
So, and the Turtles, to me, even though they're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they always acted like adults. They were always put in adult situations. Like, Raph being like, damn! Like, all that. Like, they were just, he was a grown-up going to see a rated R movie. Like, that's who he was. They weren't small. They were big. They were 6'3", big fucking turtle mutants. But every once in a while they said dude or radical. Like, well, really, Mikey was the only one that acted like a teenager.
Right. Mikey and Mondo Gecko had that little bonding moment where they were like,
in this
same
movie,
energy.
Yes. But like, they all, their banter, like, you felt like they were teenage brothers. Like, they were members of like not only brothers, but like they were like members of the same football team or whatever. Like, they had this like life of bonding together and like seeing the world through similar eyes and like just they had inside insults and jokes, and
And
like it was just so
also,
well written.
at the same time, sick of only being around each other.
Right.
Like they wanted, I said that's why they really wanted to like have the world see them, so they
Yeah.
can see other people and
Yeah.
do and like interact with other forms of life and outside of just them and Splinter.
Like Raph can join a sport and wrestle and like be with other meatheads, and Donnie could be with other weebs and like other like and Leo could go and have a girlfriend and like
Mhm.
whatever, and they make a very funny hormone joke like, oh every hormone turned on at once, like whatever, when he like decides we have to help April, like we have to help this girl. It's like, whoa, you know, because at that time he's like goody two shoes, we have to go home, Splinter will be mad, but like because this girl needs help, he's like, let's do this, and he's actually like,
Yeah, like
Batman.
he can put aside all the whole like, you know, I'm the goody two shoes, I'm the tattletale,
Right.
but like once this girl's life is at stake and I love her, I can
I love her
now
immediately.
now I can lie to my
Yeah,
dad and be like,
yeah.
nothing's going on.
Nothing. Everything's
We're
fine.
not getting into any trouble.
And Mikey's whole through line is that he just wants to do improv. Like he
Right.
wants to be an improv comic. Like that's so
Yeah.
funny. And there was an improv like sign up sheet, and he signs up, and they're like, "What are you doing? You don't go here." He's like, "Well, maybe we will one day." Well, what are you gonna do? Just put like a first name on there? He's like, "All right, well, I'll break it up. I'll be Michael Angelo."
I think he gets like a yes and thing in there
Yeah,
before they actually do the thing.
yeah, yeah.
Like he has and that's like an improv thing.
Yes, yeah. So he's definitely studied up on his improv.
Right.
But it's just adorable. And then
Oh, yeah.
the post credit scene.
Leonardo.
Leonardo. Your name's Nardo.
Nardo.
No, Leon Ardo. Leon's cool.
Nah, you're Nardo.
Nah, you're Nardo.
But yeah, the post credit scene.
Post credit scene.
We gotta discuss the post credit scene.
Yes.
The implications of the post credit scene.
So they got to go to prom, which I think was the end of the movie.
Oh, that was it. The prom was canceled.
Right.
That was April's thing. Like,
Right.
I can be the big hero, then I can get the prom back.
Right, because all of the robberies, they wanted to close the school
Right.
to keep the kids safe at night, whatever.
Correct. Yeah.
Very reminiscent of COVID stuff. Like it was very like the kids need to be kids kind of thing. Like let's not cancel shit for the kids.
Right.
So they got to go to the prom. Leo got to go with April. They got to dance together. It was very cute. Still weird that she's gonna date a turtle, but whatever. I digress.
We'll see.
So yeah, so then there's a post-credit scene where Maya Rudolph's character, who's basically the person who runs TCRI, you know, what are we gonna do? Like now they're out in the open, so we can't just capture them because now the humans are protecting them.
Right.
So she says, let's hire, you know, I know what to do. We'll hire the Shredder. So, and then you get a picture of like
a little silhouette
of him in his nasty spiked armor. So it looks like the Shredder is going to be a hired mercenary to like almost like Craven the Hunter to go and hunt the turtles and other mutants. And I can imagine the second movie is going to be him picking them off one by one. All the mutants and like turning them to like some sort of dark side. You know, like whether TCRI does like an injection and turns like their eyes red or something, and like they become like soldiers of Shredder. And then that would be a cool way of getting them that way. And then he could also make like Tokar, Razor, Spike, Slash. Like he could. There's all different ways they can go about it for building an army against the turtles.
I'm telling you, it was an interesting take on like all of these characters' origins. It's gonna be even more so when we see like a Shredder that's disconnected from Splinter in their history,
right?
Because they're a big part of each other's origins,
right?
And now that's no longer a thing,
or at least we don't know.
Like, yeah, that we know of.
For the most, yeah.
But again,
it could be an Oroku Saki thing. Like he could be a rat that was once a pet. Like he never mentioned it, but we also only picked up in his origin when he was already an adult rat. Like he was already an adult. He was living on the streets, and nobody liked him. No human, no rat, no raccoon. Like everybody was shunning him.
And also, you know, it'd be remiss if we're talking about Strange Bedfellows with Leo and April
Oh
that
God, yes.
Splinter and the weird bug thing
Yes.
also start to date and fall in
Humbug or
love.
whatever the hell her name is. She's basically like an elderly bug, which makes sense because she's probably like 1,000 years old at that point in bug years.
Right.
You know, like she's an old lady, like, and she's wearing like a moo.
Bug years.
Like, think about it. A
I'm
cockroach
dead.
lasts what, like 6 days, like 8 days. Like, she's probably really old, and she's got a moo on at the end of the movie, and she's like kissing, and they're kissing each
Very
other.
maternal. Yeah, I love it.
It's very cute. It's
and again, like, and all of the mutants are now living in the sewer.
Yes, they're
it's
all
like, it's
together.
like one giant family.
Yeah. It's hilarious. It's such a well done. I'm so happy that they made this film because we didn't even talk about the animation. Like,
dude, yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Good Lord, top tier. Like, this is awesome. It was so good. They had L&B Spumoni Gardens in there. They like, I don't know if you caught that, but like when they went to go get pizza, it was the Brooklyn, like the famous L&B Spumoni Gardens pizza.
Yeah.
Just, it was brilliant. Like the animation, the art style, it was so good. Like I from a technical standpoint, I can't like explain it, but it was so good.
Right. It was like not quite what Spider-Verse movies are doing.
Yeah.
But it had more of a 3D aspect to the models of the drawings. But it was so well done.
It looked like
bright,
digital,
colorful.
It looked like digital claymation.
Yeah. Yes.
In a way.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. It was really well done. And the fight scenes were really well choreographed and fun to watch, and seeing them in motion was really enjoyable.
They stab each other.
Yeah.
Am I bleeding? You stab me.
Great stuff, man. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Go see the movie if you haven't already, or if you're at this point with the Spoilercast, you've already seen the movie. Let us know what you think of the film down below. Did we forget to mention anything? If you want to see more of these, maybe we could do them because they're fun to do. I like talking about things.
This is really fun. I enjoyed this a lot.
I enjoyed this a lot as well. And this is the audio only version of this will go up on our Patreon. The YouTube version will go up for everyone else, but it'll be a little bonus content for our Patreon people if they want to listen to this on their train when they go to work, or their car, or they do something where they can't watch something. I don't know, whatever. If you want to support us on that Patreon, go to patreon.com/dual-screens. Thank you to Colton the Apprentice Nestler for supporting us, and everyone else over there supporting us. Thank you so very much. Look for Dual Screens podcast on your favorite podcast service of choice, and look for Indies Nuts podcast, which is returning to a weekday schedule this week.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers. Be radical to each other.
And cowbunga.
Cowbunga.